Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
Thank cheese, and most of us thank cows. But maybe it's time to thank goat instead. Crumbled on a salad, baked in a pastry, or tickling the taste buds on your favorite eggs and sausage, goat cheese has come home to North Carolina. So smile and say cheese, because it's what's cooking next in Flavor NC.
Flavor NC was made possible by Got to Be NC Agriculture, the official state identity program for products grown and processed by farmers and value-added food companies in North Carolina. When you want the best, it's got to be NC. The Currituck County Department of Travel and Tourism. The Currituck County Outer Banks. More value, more excitement, more than you imagined. Additional support was provided by the following.
There's no Main Street, no zip code, and you won't find it on a map. But our place is just as real as every mouth-watering morsel grown, raised, or harvested in North Carolina. Welcome to Flavor NC, the heart and soul of local food. Behold the humble goat. Sometimes known as the poor man's cow, people have been enjoying a mutually beneficial relationship with goats almost since the dawn of time. They're mentioned in the Bible and figure prominently in Homer's Odyssey. They even play a role in Greek mythology. Best we can tell, farmers in the Middle East first began keeping herds of goats for their meat and milk around 8000 BC. The goat was a mobile food supply. Think of them as early food trucks, only with feet instead of wheels. These hardy little guys quickly spread across the Mediterranean world into Greece, France, and Spain. And where you have goats, you have goat cheese. Some of the best in North Carolina comes from Randolph County, smack in the middle of the state. Settled by Quakers in the 1700s, Randolph County is 790 square miles of rolling farmland, tumbling rivers, and quiet forests. It's also home to the North Carolina Zoo, the traditional potters of Seagrove, and NASCAR legend Richard Petty. But that's a different story. I've come to Randolph County for the goat cheese produced right here at Goat Lady Dairy. Like so many farms in North Carolina, Goat Lady Dairy began life as a tobacco farm more than 200 years ago. By the time Jenny Tate, a Greensboro nurse, bought it in the 1980s, the farm had been abandoned, the fields left fallow. Jenny began restoring the farm and raising goats as a hobby, quickly earning the nickname, the Goat Lady. So when Jenny, along with her brother Steve and his wife Lee, decided to start the dairy in 1995, the name just stuck. Jenny passed away in 2009, but over the years, the dairy, its goats, and the cheese they produce have thrived. The dairy now produces almost 40,000 pounds of cheese a year. In 2010, the Tates added a 15-acre CSA farm to the mix. They were also named the Sustainable Farmers of the Year by the Carolina Farm Stewardship Association. Running the CSA, caring for the goats, making cheese, and feeding the chickens is enough to fill anyone's days. But leave it to the Tates to throw something else into the mix. From the start, the Tates hosted dinners at the dairy, trying out new cheeses on their friends. Over the years, the dinners have evolved into highly anticipated dining events open to all. The evening begins with appetizers on the porch, followed by a personal tour of the dairy led by Steve Tate.
It's all about goats will go wherever they can get the highest that they can get, and the goat's perfectly capable of jumping up on top of the pickup, and that would be a favorite spot.
After the tour, guests settle in for a slow food dining experience. These dinners add a whole new meaning to the concept of farm-to-fork dining. All the ingredients are either grown or produced at Goat Lady Dairy or on surrounding farms. And they always conclude with the dairy's homemade truffles. Yum! The dinners kick off every spring and are held a few weekends every month. It's a busy time at the dairy when fields are being prepared for a new growing season and the kids are arriving almost daily. Goat Lady's herd is made up of 3 different breeds, and the dairy follows nature's cycle. They breed in the fall, kid in early spring, and milk for 10 months of the year. In any given year, as many as 100 kids are born at the dairy. Today, it's Mary's turn to become a new mom.
There we go.
There's a real bond between the Tates and their goats, a bond built on mutual admiration and affection.
Oh, get them all dried off.
As soon as the kids are born, they're cleaned off, wrapped in warm towels, and put with the other newborns to find their legs. Getting these babies off to a good start requires a lot of love and attention, and you can be sure they get it at Goat Lady Dairy. Everyone wants to take a turn playing with the kids. It's critically important to the survival and good health of these babies that they get that all-important first mother's milk. So Lee Tate took me into the milking parlor where Mary and 2 other new moms were happily munching away on some grain for a lesson in how to milk a goat by hand.
Well, welcome, Lisa, to the Goat Lady Dairy Milking Parlor.
Thank you.
Is this your first
First time,
milking
never been in a milking parlor.
parlor? Okay, right. Well, we want to make it a good experience. This is my friend Regina, and she's been helping me
Hey.
during kidding season.
Okay, busy time of year for you.
Very busy time of year, and we've just had Mary, our white goat over here, kid, and she had 2 beautiful animals, and it's important that they get their first colostrum, which is the first milk out of Mary's udder. And so we're going to milk by hand today because we want to trap that milk and save it for the babies to have as their first meal.
Okay, and it's important to do that by hand versus by machine.
Exactly, because the machine is too big to deal with that size of milk.
All right, I've never done this before,
Okay,
so let's
all right.
see.
Well, we have kind of a protocol here. So
Okay.
we start by cleaning the udders. And we do that with these claws right here.
Okay.
So grab one, and you're gonna, why don't you clean the teeth on baby here?
Baby.
Regina's gonna
Baby's
get
not going
Mary.
to kick me or anything, is it?
No, probably not. She's pretty used to this. I'm gonna get Oprah here,
All right.
and then Regina will get Mary.
A new one for the next, or I can flip it?
Girl, flip it, just yeah.
Okay.
And that's good enough, and then we'll dispose of it just down here.
Okay. Don't need to dry it off or anything?
No, because it has some alcohol in it. It'll quick dry here.
Okay.
Okay, now we're ready.
Baby to like me.
I'll give you a little bit of instruction here.
Yeah.
Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to use this finger and your thumb, and you're going to close off the top of the teat.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing right here, and then you're going to squeeze with your bottom
2 fingers?
Mhm. And baby's pretty easy to milk. See, it comes pretty freely there.
Oh, she's making it look
try that
easy.
now.
And trust me, easy it is not. For baby's sake, I decided to get out of the way and let Lee finish the milking. Once the job is done, the milk is strained, then bottled so that the kids can be fed by hand. To start with, that means feeding every few hours around the clock. It can be tiring, but it's also a lot of fun. All right, Lee, I know it's very important to give the babies the colostrum right off the bat. When is this milk used to make cheese?
Well, we pretty much have decided that we give all the mother's milk the first week after kidding to the babies because some of it has streaks of colostrum that might be off-putting in the cheese. But by 7 or 8 days, we taste test it. If it's good milk, hey, it goes in the cheese vat.
Okay, and then what's the difference between goat milk making cheese and cow's milk making cheese?
Well, of course, cow's milk and goat's milk have very different percentages of components, and they really taste differently. So certain cheeses can only be made with goat's milk and be good.
It gives it that distinct tangy flavor, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Oh, and I've had your goat's milk from these little babies, and it's fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Lee may be in charge of the goats, but Steve is in charge of the cheese.
Steve, this platter of goat cheese is absolutely beautiful. Tell me about the different kinds.
Well, we've got representations here of our basic types. We have fresh and ripened goat cheese. We also do aged, but we're early in the season. We're just starting to that. They take a few months.
What's the difference between the fresh and the ripened?
Great question. Fresh cheeses are days old. Ripened cheeses are weeks old and usually have a rind like this cheese, which is much like a brie.
Right. Okay, and then what's all over this cheese?
We flavor our cheeses with herbs and spices. That's black peppercorn. This is an herb blend, roasted red pepper. This is a feta-style cheese called Farmer's. And, of course, our chocolate goat cheese truffles.
Oh, that's beautiful. How do you make that?
Fresh goat cheese, semi-sweet chocolate, rolled in Dutch cocoa. The trick is the temperature and how you roll them.
Now, Steve, why do you make so many different flavors and varieties of goat cheese?
Well, we were one of the first handmade cheese makers in North Carolina, and now there's almost 30. But at the time that we started, we really began with the fresh cheeses, like all goat cheese makers do.
Okay.
And then as our craft got better and we got more interested in spreading out, we added the ripened cheeses and then the aged cheeses. Being one of just a few cheesemakers, of course, when you're at the farmer's market, people say, well, I'd like a cheese like a cheddar, or do you do a feta, or do you do this? So it actually helped us to be able to offer many different kinds when our farmer's market customers come and want something for many different purposes.
Can you show me how you make them?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, Steve, why are we in this little room?
This is our, we call it our cave.
Okay.
It's not really a cave, but cheesemakers call their ripening room a cave because originally all cheeses were ripened there. It's temperature and humidity controlled. This room is 55, 56 degrees and 90% humidity.
Okay, and so what are we going to do in this room, and what types of cheeses are these?
These are our soft, bloomy, rind, ripened cheeses. You would know the most popular one in America, which is called brie. This is in the brie family. They all have a rind that's like a white cotton shirt. And what we do is we actually add a mold to the milk when we make the cheese. We buy it. It's freeze-dried.
Okay.
There are 2 molds, and they go in the milk. And then once the cheese is made, like this cheese has just been made, doesn't have a rind yet. See?
Okay.
So we bring it in this environment, and then so there's the rind. Right.
Okay.
So we bring it in this environment, and it's like controlled microclimate, and the mold starts to grow on the outside. But to give it an even ripening, it's very important that we turn the cheeses regularly. So why don't you help me?
All right.
And we're just going to scoot it a little bit so it doesn't tear, and then we turn it.
Flip it over.
Right, and so we're going to do this whole tray and then move to the next one. Because, see, Lisa, if you didn't turn them, it would ripen on one side different than the other. So these ripened cheeses can be in here 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. For the different style, has a different amount of time, and you get different qualities.
Well, beautiful. Thanks for showing me how to do this.
Great, now you're a cheesemaker.
Well, maybe not a cheesemaker, but a solid admirer of the cheesemaker's craft. I could not wait to get into the kitchen with Steve and get cooking.
Steve, I'm excited to be in Goat Lady Dairy Kitchen. What are we going to make with your fabulous cheese?
Well, one of our special items is Chèvre Camembert en Croûte.
Ooh.
Which is...
That sounds fancy.
Yeah, well, I can't really say it just right, but what it is basically is using puff pastry that you can buy in the frozen pastry section and in the grocery store. So you don't have to worry about the pastry part, so that makes it easy.
That does make it easy.
And then we're using our lovely camembert, ripened to perfection, and this is a really fancy, delicious, and not very difficult way to serve a cheese course either at the beginning of the meal or if you want to be real European, you can do it at the end.
Okay. Now, what is that you're putting on the puff pastry?
You've got some choices here about a little sweet, little tart in with your cheese. You know how those flavors combine nicely. So you can, as you'll see on our recipe, that you can use different things. You can soak fruit. But today, we're using our homemade hot pepper jelly made with jalapenos from the garden. This is one of my wife's specialties. And so we're going to just put that there on the pastry, and so that'll end up being a layer, a part of what is when you cut into the cheese.
These are just some chopped pecans?
Those are toasted chopped pecans.
Toasted chopped pecans, okay.
Or pecans, as we say, right? And we're going to put a little bit more here because this is a nice big camembert.
And you just want to make a bed for your cheese to sit on, basically.
Right, because you got to imagine we're going to have these layers when we get all done with the thing. And it's about 1/4 cup of the pecans. And then we take our Chev Camembert, which is a traditional Normandy-style camembert, soft, bloomy rind cheese like a brie, but made with...
yeah, I see. It's got the rind on it.
But made with goat milk.
Okay.
So we just pulled this out of the cave, all nice to go. Got that nice white cottony shirt. And we're going to just put that right on top of our mixture of hot pepper jelly and pecans.
Okay. Beautiful so far.
What I need you to do is... take your artistic self, and there's your brush, and we need to brush some of that mixed egg with a little water, just on that corner, and that's, as you know, a great kind of a glue to hold our pastry together, and we're going to make a little package here, okay?
Oh,
so
like
now
a
we
little
need
present.
some more right there,
right?
And then we'll put this one over here. Now, sometimes you have to trim this because you have too much pastry. But we're not going to need to because it's a big camembert. And if you do the trimmings, put a big glob right there. You can't really use too much. Okay. And if you have to trim it, then you can use the trimmings to make a little decoration on the top when you're done. But we're not going to have too much. So.
All right, so you're going to finish with the egg wash.
Right. So we have to make sure that we have enough here to hold those corners. And, of course, the egg wash is going to make a nice glaze. So we do the corners up here, and you can be a little bit more careful if you've got more time.
And then you put it on a greased baking sheet?
Just spray a little Pam, put a little lubrication on your baking sheet, and then put that glaze right there on top. And then we've preheated our oven to 400 degrees, and it's going to bake for about 20 minutes.
Fabulous. Let's pop it in the oven.
Okay, Lisa, so our baked Chev Camembert is ready. Needs to rest about 30 minutes, and then ready to serve.
It's beautiful. I can't wait to taste it. All right, Steve, I see we've got some beautiful eggs, sausage, some goat cheese. What are we making?
We're making skillet eggs with Italian sausage, garden kale, and goat cheese.
Sounds great. Yeah, what do you need?
It'll be our main dish for today. So first we're going to take our sausage, take about half of that's in the bowl, and we're going to saute together the Italian sausage. And what we've done is we've chopped up an onion and the stems of the kale. You can go ahead and put those right in there.
I love it.
We'll just turn up our heat a little bit. And what's going to happen? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
What's going to happen is the sausage is going to brown and the vegetables will soften for 3 to 4 minutes. And then the next step.
Okay. Any salt and pepper?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right.
Okay, so this is cooked for about 3 minutes. One of the great things about this dish is you can use whatever vegetables you have in the kitchen or from the garden. You just need to remember the harder stems cook first, then the leafy part. So we're ready for our kale.
Okay.
Put in 3 or 4 handfuls of our Siberian and red Russian kale. We harvested that kale just a little while ago, and now we're going to saute that for 3 or 4 minutes.
It smells so sweet.
Yeah, and we'll let it cook down. Great, thanks.
Steve, the kale's nice and wilted down. What do we do next?
Okay, now just to really bring out the flavor, you hold that. We're going to just sprinkle on a little bit of lemon juice, just a little bit from a fresh lemon, and a little bit of pepper. at this point. Just a little bit, and give that a good stir. And then, once we get that all mixed in, then we're going to start adding our eggs for skillet eggs. And we're going to put those right where we want them because they're not going to move. This is what makes this different than scrambled eggs or frittata. Just going to lay that one in right there and make our way around. We got 5 people for lunch. So
you do 5 eggs.
5 eggs. We got that one figured out.
I'm loving the contrast of colors you've got going on here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful presentation.
And we'll put one right there. Smooth that out there.
Okay.
There we go. I could use you in the kitchen every day.
Oh, I can come cook it, goat lady.
Now you notice our farm fresh eggs, really orange yolks. That's because
that's a deep, rich color.
Yeah, that's because the chickens eat everything, grass, compost. Now we're at our salt and a little bit of water, just because we're going to kind of steam this. And then we're going to finish off with some cheese. This is our crumbled Goat Lady farmer's cheese.
Can you use any goat cheese?
You can use any goat cheese. We also sometimes use our smoked. And we like to use all kinds of cheese flavors. A little bit of grated Parmesan on top. And then we cover it until the eggs are set. And you can choose how long to cook it based upon whether you want a little runny eggs or whether you like them hard.
Okay. I'm excited. I can't wait to take the lid off.
Great.
All right, it's been about 3 minutes. Can I take the lid off?
Absolutely. And the final touch, garnish with fresh chives from the herb garden.
Look at that. Oh, I can't wait to eat it.
Hungry. Well, Lisa, we've come to a great time of the year. Mid-March, early spring, baby greens from the hoop house. So you don't want to mess it up by doing too much.
Right.
We've got just baby greens, red and green lettuces, arugula baby kale, and a very simple balsamic Dijon mustard vinaigrette that you're going to toss in there for us.
Smells fabulous.
Oh, yeah. And you don't want to overdo it, just enough.
Now that's balsamic Dijon, a little salt and pepper?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So we can just add the final touch, which is our Goat Lady Dairy Farmer's Cheese. Kind of like a feta, not quite as salty, and a great way to use this simple cheese is just like that as a finish on a fresh spring salad.
Perfect, beautiful salad. All right, Steve, I don't know what we're making, but I'm excited because I see the Goat Lady Tango on the table, and I've fallen in love with this.
This is our version of a blueberry yogurt parfait. So it's a great dessert course. We use blueberries, North Carolina, homegrown, bought last summer at the farmer's market, put in the freezer. Our tango, which is like a Greek-style yogurt, so it's a cultured goat milk dairy product, tangy, not sweet. A little honey for sweetness. Our own granola we make here in the kitchen. And last, some mint from the herb garden.
Okay, well, let's make this parfait.
So what we're going to do is make a smoothie. So put the blueberries right in.
Okay.
So put some blueberries and some yogurt and a little bit of honey for sweetness. Go right in there. Okay. And then we're just going to start making our smoothie. So we've made our smoothie. Now we're going to layer our parfait. These are martini glasses. If you have them, of course, parfait glasses make this really a beautiful dish. So just a layer of the blueberry yogurt smoothie. Now some granola.
Granola. And I know you made your granola fresh, but you can just get any granola.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can decide how sweet you like your granola and just buy what you like. Then another layer. The beauty of the parfait glasses, of course, is they're more narrow and tall, so you can get more layers. But the taste is going to be the same. So we get it all nice and pretty like that.
Okay.
A little bit of granola, and then we finish it with a few blueberries.
And a pretty sprig of fresh mint.
And a wonderful ending to a great local North Carolina meal.
Gathering around the table to share a meal with family and friends has got to be one of the great pleasures of life. Laughing, talking, catching up on the day, what could be better? And when you get to enjoy food this good, well, that's just the icing on the cake. Or maybe I should say the extra blueberry on the parfait?
Goat Lady Dairy really is a magical place. It's a beautiful setting, a committed family of farmers, and a great bunch of four-footed helpers. So next time you're in the market to give your cheese platter a little variety, why not give goat cheese a try? I'm Lisa Prince, and I'll see you next time right here in Flavor NC. Yes, I will. I'll see you next time.
To see today's recipes or for more information on local food and farmers markets in your area, visit flavornc.com.
Flavor NC was made possible by Got to Be NC Agriculture, the official state identity program for products grown and processed by farmers and value-added food companies in North Carolina. When you want the best, it's got to be NC. The Currituck County Department of Travel and Tourism, the Currituck County Outer Banks. More value, more excitement, more than you imagined. Additional support was provided by the following.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.